Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Fred Hochberg and the 2010 Export-Import Bank Award winners, Fabien Demol, Luis Arguello, and John Baumstark.
Thank you. When President Obama laid out his plan to rebuild and restore America in his State of the Union address in January, a key element was to double exports over the next 5 years to support the much-needed job growth in America. And as America's only manufacturer of high-efficiency monocrystalline solar cells, Suniva is proud to be doing its part to help make this vision and the theme of this conference, powering jobs, sales, and profits through exports, a reality. Last year, Suniva exported more than 90% of its production to Asia and to Europe. That's right, even Chinese customers are buying Suniva's US-made solar cells. And that's helped us to build a diverse workplace and to create 150 direct jobs right here in the US, with 500 more direct jobs coming at our new Michigan plant next year. And I might add that that's been in the last 2.5 years, so hopefully there'll be many more coming. And in addition to those direct jobs here in the US, there's been a lot of indirect jobs that have supported the company through 3 expansions in the last 2.5 years. Those are construction and engineering jobs, logistics and supply chain jobs, just to name a few. In this era of global competition, Suniva is extremely proud to help the President fulfill his aggressive trade agenda. We also appreciate that the business community recognizes these accomplishments, and on behalf of the entire Suniva team, I'm pleased to accept the XM Renewable Energy Exporter of the Year Award. Thank you, Export-Import Bank. And speaking of honors, it's with deep respect and tremendous humility that I introduce the leader of our nation, ladies and gentlemen, President Barack Obama.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, John, for that generous introduction. Congratulations to you and Fabien and Luis for the recognition your companies so richly deserve. And thank you to the chairman of the Export-Import Bank, Fred Hochberg, for having me here today, and for all the important work the XM Bank is doing to help American businesses sell their ideas to the world. I also want to recognize the Secretary General of the OECD, Angel Gurria, for his leadership at that institution. Let me also acknowledge some members of my economic team who are here today. My Commerce Secretary, Gary Locke, who's just returned from a trip to Brazil. Where are you, Gary? There he is, right here. Our U.S. Trade Representative, Ambassador Ron Kirk, who's been putting in a lot of miles. They are both doing a great job in the work of moving this country forward in tough times. Now, it has been our most pressing priority over the first year of my administration to deal with an unprecedented economic crisis, one that has been as serious as anything since the Great Depression. To do that required difficult and sometimes unpopular steps to rescue our financial system and to jumpstart an economic recovery. But we took those steps, and because we did, we can stand here just over a year later and say that we prevented another depression, we broke the back of the recession, and the economy that was shrinking a year ago is growing today. And what's also clear is that we've got a long way to go. More than 8 million Americans have lost their jobs since the start of the recession. Millions more remain underemployed, including those doing part-time work or odd jobs. And the middle class across this country has felt their economic security eroding for longer than they care to remember. That's why we continue to do everything we can to foster private sector job creation and to restore some sense of security. But the fact is, if we want to once again approach full employment, if we want to create broad, shared, and lasting wealth for our workers and our families, if we want an America that is ready to compete on the global playing field in the 21st century, then we can't slide back into an economy where we borrow too much and put off tough challenges. We can't return to an economy where too much of our prosperity is based on fleeting bubbles and rampant speculation. We have to rebuild our economy on a new, stronger, more balanced foundation for the future. A foundation that will advance the American people's prosperity at home and support American leadership in the world. And that's precisely what we've begun to do. We're catalyzing a new clean energy industry that has the potential to employ millions of workers in good jobs. We're investing in the skills and education of our workers and reforming our education system with a goal to once again lead the world in the proportion of college graduates by the end of this decade. We're building a better healthcare system that works for our people, our businesses, and our government alike. We're establishing clear, common-sense rules of the road for Wall Street that encourage innovation and creativity instead of recklessness and irresponsibility. Rules that prevent firms from taking risks that threaten to bring down the entire economy. And we are rebuilding an economy where we generate more American jobs in more American industries by producing and exporting more goods and services to other nations. Now, in my State of the Union address, I set a goal of doubling America's exports over the next 5 years, an increase that will support 2 million American jobs. And I've come to the Export-Import Bank Conference today to discuss the initial steps that we're taking to achieve that goal. I know the issue of exports and imports, the issue of trade and globalization have long evoked the passions of a lot of people in this country. I know there are differences of opinion between Democrats and Republicans, between business and labor, about the right approach. But I also know we are at a moment where it is absolutely necessary for us to get beyond those old debates. Those who would once support every free trade agreement now see that other countries have to play fair and the agreements have to be enforced. Otherwise, we're putting America at a profound disadvantage. Those who once would oppose any trade agreement now understand that there are new markets and new sectors out there that we need to break into if we want our workers to get ahead. And meanwhile, if you ask the average American what trade has offered them, they won't say that their televisions are cheaper or productivity is higher. They'd say they've seen the plant across town shut down, jobs dry up, communities deteriorate. And you can't blame them for feeling that way. Fact is, other countries haven't always played by the same set of rules. America hasn't always enforced our trade rights or made sure that the benefits of trade are broadly shared. And we haven't always done enough to help our workers adapt to a changing world.